Hi everybody and welcome to Safari TV. My name's Tara. I hope everybody's well this afternoon. We were busy looking at the hippos and then they decided to submerge under the water. Just making sure that we know that he's there now. And now they've gone again. It really is a beautiful day here at Juma Game Reserve, where we're broadcasting live from. And we're going to be doing about a 3-hour game drive. So I hope you're all ready to join us. We've just heard some buffalo who were down here earlier drinking, and there were some rhino who were with them. So I'm going to try and see if we can relocate them. It does sound like the buffalo were fairly close by, so we're going to give it a go. But I've got Herman joining me on camera this afternoon. Hopefully he's going to get some beautiful shots like he did the other day with Karula. And unfortunately she wasn't able to relocate, as far as we know, her boys, unfortunately. Obviously we spent all drive yesterday with her and she was calling and calling and calling. The boys were nowhere to be found. So we'll have a drive around here, see if we can relocate the rhino and the buffalo, and then I'll head back up towards the area where she was last seen, trying to call them and see how we go with that. I don't think she was relocated this morning, and I don't think there was any lions, but I did hear lions early this morning, or actually last night, should I say. It was probably about 10 o'clock last night I was hearing them. Somewhere south, so it was somewhere around here, so I'll see if we can pick up some tracks as well. But otherwise, Caroline is in final control, so if you do have any questions, feel free to email them through to finalcontrol@safari.tv, and Caroline will be able to radio them through to me, and I'll be able to answer them live as we're driving around. And if you see anything you would like to know about, then send in the question. Otherwise, if there's something you'd like to ask that you've always thought you'd never know what the answer was, then feel free to send questions through about that as well. But we've got Hungo here. We have seen a nick in his right ear. And for those of you who weren't able to join us just a little bit earlier, he actually demonstrated whose territory it was here. By opening his mouth and showing us his teeth, and generally they would have quite large teeth, but something funny's happened with his teeth, possibly they've broken or something, and unfortunately he hasn't got as long teeth as he should have for an animal that size, and some of his teeth aren't even there, so it's quite an interesting one. I thought maybe it was because he wasn't as old as what we thought he was, but I have had confirmation he's quite an old hippo. Maybe that's why they've fallen out. But he's been joined by another hippo, quite a bit smaller, but after he was demonstrating, the hippo copied him by raising his body out the water. And we haven't seen it open its mouth yet, so I don't know if it's going to do that, but he certainly was copying the stance, raising the body out the water and trying to be threatening in that way. So I think we're going to, I'm hearing those buffalo again, so I think we're going to drive around to those buffalo. I'm not too sure how well the signal's going to hold down here, so do bear with us. If it isn't great, then we'll have to move out the area, but just while we're here, I think we'll give it a go. And leave these guys to their own devices. Nice to see if we can catch up with the rhino. I haven't seen rhino for quite a while now, until today. And unfortunately, there were the two males by the looks of it who were a little bit skittish around the vehicles. And possibly with this being a diesel, they were a little bit more skittish than usual. There's the buffalo just there. Lying down. See if I can get in there. I'm just going to go a bit further along the road. thanks Brian, and welcome aboard this afternoon. Wow, this is a big herd. Okay, I'm just going to stay here so we don't disturb them too much. Can you get a nice view of them through there, Herman? And I was just talking about hippo teeth making dentures earlier before we went live on the drive. We were just running through, or doing a live broadcast to a conference who was not able to join us for the drive. So we were just broadcasting a little bit earlier than usual. And I was just talking about the teeth of the hippo being used for dentures. And Brian's just coming back with the reason why. I do remember reading it now. Why hippo teeth were used rather than the elephant tusks for dentures, because elephant tusks generally turn yellow with age, and it sounds like, and I do remember reading it now, that the hippo teeth have got a lot more enamel, which is obviously going to protect the teeth for longer, and that's whereas the elephants is not as thick enamel, so it wears off, and obviously the teeth will become yellow. So thank you very much, Brian, for reminding me about that. This is quite a large herd. It does actually stretch back much further left, but I think if we were trying to get in there, it's quite thick bush there. I don't want to disturb them too much. I wonder if the rhino are still with them. Quite interesting if they are still around. Safety in numbers and all that. Oh wow. Okay.
Lisa, how'd you care for me? Okay.
Brian. Okay, so you guys are viewing an elephant at Gowrie Dam at the moment. That's quite a nice thing to have coming down to Gowrie Dam. Don't think we've been seeing any elephants this afternoon. Or at Gowrie Dam. I'm just looking out for those rhino. They may have moved on. And just another thanks to Penny. Penny's been pointing out that the term Cape buffalo has been wrongly used, and I've been doing a bit more research, and she is correct about the Savannah buffalo. So we should really be calling the buffalo Savannah buffalo rather than Cape buffalo. There's 3 subspecies of African buffalo. You have the western, the central, and then the east and southern. And that's obviously what we have here is the east and southern buffalo. So unfortunately I'm not too sure where I picked up that information about the Cape buffalo. It just goes to show you should never completely trust what's being told to you. You should always do some research on it as well. Got some young of different ages in the herd. And you can see how the horns actually grow. I don't know if you got the youngster in shot or not. Which one have you got in shot?
Got the youngster now?
Oh, okay. You can see the horns. They start growing up, and then as they get older they start to grow out to the sides. And you can tell the very, very old adults by the horns actually drooping quite far below the ears. And also the boss in the middle will start to grow towards each other. So especially if it's meeting up in the middle, it's just a sign of the adult being much older. think some lower ranking individuals are being pushed out by higher ranking individuals. She's got a baby with her, that's why. When an individual has a baby, they're much higher ranking than if they don't have a baby. Reason being, the high ranking individuals will be further towards the front of the herd, and that just means as the herd moves, they get to eat the better grass. Once they get to the grass, they get the better grazing. So they need the high nutritional grazing so that they can support their young. And if you notice that the youngsters are actually suckling between the legs, which is quite an unusual way for young to suckle. Generally they'll suckle from the side, but in buffalo it's between the legs. Birthing intervals roughly around 1.5 years, 2 years for buffalo. Gestation period about 11 months. Hi Anne, welcome aboard this afternoon. And you're just wanting to know, did I find out any differences between the subspecies? Unfortunately, I didn't. I haven't got that far yet. I was just able just to quickly check on the names Savannah buffalo and the Cape buffalo. But I'm certainly going to try and look into it in a little bit more detail and just see if there are any differences. I think it's possibly regional variation, if there is any. But I think, if I remember reading, that the east and southern buffalo are slightly larger, slightly darker in colour. But as I say, I'll definitely try and see if I can just reread all that paragraph that I was reading earlier. It's just that piece of information stuck in my head just so I came out on drive. As I say, there's a few things I've just been trying to look up this afternoon, or this morning should I say, and answers to questions that I wasn't able to get to the bottom of on drive. So hopefully, especially if we come across the lines, I'll see if we can discuss those again. But otherwise, when I get a chance next, I'll try and put it on the Facebook page again and the Ning page. But I'll certainly be trying to look at that again when I have chance. Unless there's any viewers that can maybe have a quick check for us and just check out the different species. But my source was the African Mammals by Skinner, and I forget who else it is. It's actually quite a beautiful book. It's quite a large book as well, but it tells you a lot about the taxonomy of the animals, and it tells you about sort of internal anatomies and that sort of thing, and skulls and dental structures and things like that. It's a beautiful book, and it's all about the southern mammals. I think actually the title's called Mammals of Southern Africa. Yeah, Mammals of Southern Africa, 3rd edition. It's got a picture of two gemsboks fighting on the cover. I say Skinner's one of the authors, and I always forget the other author. Ray Smithers, yeah. Yes, it is. It's Smithers. Sorry, Skinner is the other one. So Ray Smithers, and there's two authors. Ray Smithers is the one of them. Thanks, Mark. And there's a lot of red-billed oxpeckers around the herd. And if ever you're out walking, especially in the bush, you listen out for oxpeckers, because they're going to be an indication, an early indication, that there's either buffaloes or rhinos in the vicinity, especially if you do hear them. So it's always good to know the call of an oxpecker, and if you're hearing them a lot, or even just one or two, it could mean there's a duggar boy that's hidden. And duggar boys being quite unstable. If I was to stand up and walk towards the herd, we'd probably see the herd getting up and running away, just because it's the herd mentality. They'll probably turn around and then start charging at me, because then they're a bit like a cow in that sense, but the herd is a lot more stable, so if one runs, they all run away. Whereas the duggar boys, because they're on their own, if they run, they could run into trouble as well. So they rather stand and keep an eye on you, and they may charge without warning. But what I've seen here is the duggar boys around here seem to be quite relaxed and not too worried about life, which is quite nice. It's kind of put my faith back in buffalo a little bit. Oh wow! Sure. Sorry, everybody. I've just I've just been told that my cousins have just had a baby. She was born yesterday. Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for passing that message on. Sure. You see all the oxpeckers flying in now. I don't know if you're going to really be able to pick up the sounds from them. Are you able to hear them, Caroline? Everybody expecting the pictures on Redbubble. I don't think there's any award-winning pictures just yet. And I haven't forgotten about putting pictures up on Facebook, and I will hopefully be doing it soon. I still have some pictures on my camera that I can download. Unfortunately, my laptop decided to give up the ghost, so I will try and download. I've still got pictures of Mishu on the termite mound from when we had the face-off with the cheetah, so I'll still try and download them once I get them onto another computer. So don't panic, I haven't forgotten. I will try and get them up there. But just thought it'd be quite nice with having the news from my cousins. I'll just sort of take a couple of pictures of the buffalo herd and I'll send it through to them as a congratulations. It's actually quite, again, you can see it's a different behaviour. Generally you'll find the buffalo either wallowing in the mud this time of day or in the shelter of the trees, in the shade. You've got some sitting out actually in the sunshine. So you can certainly see it's coming into winter now with them sitting out here this time of day, out in the sun. You do have some in the shade, but you can see they're resting, they're chewing the cud. And they probably will start moving around once it does get a little bit cooler. And obviously with the buffalo herd being here, we may get the lions in the area. I'm going to see if we can take a drive a bit further around, just see if we can find the tracks from the rhino. So it'll be quite nice to see if we can catch up with them. I have a feeling they might have gone to the little pan on Shabam Road. Excuse me. Yeah, I think so. Oh, excuse. I think we'll leave these guys in peace. These are all nice and settled. I'll see if we can just do a bit of a drive around. I don't think they're going to go anywhere for the time being, so I just want to have a drive around, see if we can find any tracks. Maybe of the lions in the area. Everyone's helping me to reverse with hand signals. Just like the aeroplanes. What would you call them? Oh, okay. Now I understand where he was saying car guards. It's out here in South Africa, if you go and park your car, you get to reverse and find your space and things like that. So. I can't think of what it's called now though, when you've got the people with the sticks and they showing the airplane where to go. No, not an air traffic controller. They're the ones that sit in the tower, aren't they? I'm sorry if anybody's watching and you are one, or if you can actually help me out of my misery now, because that's going to bug me. When you're guiding an airplane into the dock with the little paddles. I know it's not nature related, but yeah. have any rhino tracks as yet. If I can't find anything this side, I think I'll go back to the herd and just see if they aren't in with the herd. Okay, we have the question. Hey, thanks Sharon. And you'd like to know, are zebras more closely related to horses or donkeys? And have they ever been domesticated? I have seen a few pictures of people riding zebras, obviously domesticating them. But zebras do have a little bit of a chip on the shoulder. They are a little bit more aggressive in nature, so I think it's very difficult to domesticate a zebra, but it is doable. And when it comes to riding it, I think there's some rhino tracks going in. I think that was them going down to the dam. The little plan didn't work, they're not here. Do a bit of a lap around and just see. But oh, woolly neck stalks. Can you give up? Oh, I can't. There. Oh, nice. Looks like a juvenile and an adult there. Look. Yeah, it does look duller. If I can. There does look like an adult next to it on the right. I don't know, have you got both of them or just the one in shot?
Just one, or you want both?
No, it's fine. Just which one are you on?
The one on the right.
One on the right. I think that one's the adult. I just want to have a quick check. It's the first time I've actually seen them properly. Sorry Sharon, I'll come back to your question just now. Okay. I'm just checking in my book here, because as I say, just generally with juveniles, the adults tend to be, juveniles tend to be duller than the adults. But it's saying, well, it shouldn't have a red bill, and the glossy black is replaced by brown, and the black forehead extends further back on the crown. So maybe it's just an adult who's going through a molt. He certainly has a red eye, and the juvenile shouldn't have a red eye. But it could be a sub-adult coming into adult plumage. That's why it's looking not as bright as what maybe it should be. It's actually the first time I've seen them live. Yeah, thank you everybody. Saying these stalks delivered my cousin's baby. Time flies. Kind of forget what month you're in here. You just lose all track of time. I was still thinking it was further on down the line. Occasionally they can make flocks, but they're generally in pairs or solitary. And they have been coming around Gary Dam on the odd occasion, so we definitely have to keep looking out for them a bit more now.
First time I've seen them as well.
Yeah, it's a lifer for me. And you. That's quite cool. I wonder if they're just going to stick around for the winter. And they are supposed to be a resident, but an uncommon resident. So Sharon, just going back to you, just while we're sitting and watching these stalks for a little bit, and just going back to your question about zebras being domesticated. As I said, there's a couple of pictures on the net, and Lord Rothschild hitched two to a carriage and used to drive around London with them, hitched to his carriage apparently. And so there's a Welsh guy who used to ride a zebra down to the pub. Quite why, I don't know, but yeah. But I've always heard that the kidneys are quite high up in the zebra, so if you ride them, it's not great for the zebra's back, and also their back isn't as strong as a horse's. As with the relation, I think they will be closer to horses. The genus is Equus. And I think the domesticated or the other species of horse are also Equus, but I have to just double check that one. But I don't know what the genus for a donkey is. I've never even thought to look. Oh, cool! So who was that? Valerie from Scotland, was it? Valentine. Val. Thanks, Val. Saying it's a Marshall. Thank you so much. That was going to irritate me all drive. So it's a Marshall calling in the aeroplanes. Oops. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, a bug's got in my throat this afternoon. Actually, these stalks look much bigger on the dam camera than what they do here. I actually thought they were a much larger stalk. Sorry guys, I didn't want to disturb you. Phone off. Sorry, go ahead. Another interesting question from Dave. And where do oxpeckers sleep at night? And how do they regain the flock? Or regain the herd, sorry. And I think you're talking about the animals. From what I've seen, if there's long calling, it tends to call in the other oxpeckers, but I have seen the oxpeckers be on their own as well, so they'll just fly around and try and locate animals, obviously from the sky. Do I want to go in here? We'll go a bit further down. Oh, Herman's just spotted a can. She's going to pick it up quickly. Because obviously animals will move throughout the night. And I've not seen oxpeckers actually on them at night, so I think they'll just go and sit in trees. But I've never actually thought about it. As I say, I've never actually seen an animal with an oxpecker on its back, and I can't see them really sleeping on an animal's back. But certainly they'll have quite a good eyesight, so they'll be able to fly over, try and relocate the animals from the sky. And as I say, I think they would utilise other oxpeckers calling, actually locate some of the herds. No rhino tracks coming out yet. And we'd just say if anybody wants to join us on the map, we're on Gowrie, Maine at the moment. We went from Treehouse Dam along the road. I don't know if it's actually got a name. Let's have a quick check actually. That one has got a name. The one that we were on, I don't think it does have a name. Yeah, because then I don't know if you want to zoom in quickly. It doesn't actually have a name on here. Yeah, Treehouse Dam Road, I think you're probably right on that one. So we went along here, and then we quickly came onto Shabam Road, just where the pan was, and then turned left onto Gowrie, Maine. Gowrie, Maine, Gowrie, Maine. It's been a long day already, I think. Gowrie, Maine. Okay, cool. Okay, so donkeys are also equus. Who was that from? Brian. Thanks, Brian. You're saying that donkey's genus is also equus. So, yeah, I think it sounds like donkeys, horses and zebras are all very closely related. That's quite interesting, because I would have thought that the donkeys may have been one step back from the horses and the zebra, but obviously not. So we'll have to go into a little bit more detail. I thought I saw some rhino tracks, but no. Because you've got the genus and then the species level. But I think there may be another level in between. I don't know about, because it gets a lot more complicated. You get subfamilies and superorders and suborders and all fun things like that. Let's split even further. Columbia Vignari, south of Treehouse Dam. Might be a little bit early, but yay. I think those rhino are in with the buffalo. I'm just doing a loop around, so I'm going to drive back towards Treehouse Dam, and then I'll see if I can try and have a look on the other side of the herd, just see if the rhino are there. There's no tracks from any leopard or lion around there. I'm not too sure how far the lions were calling last night. Certainly sounded like it was south of the camp. And if anybody's not into birds and wondered what I meant about it being a lifer, it just means a bird that you haven't seen before. So I saw it on the camera the other day, but I haven't actually seen one in real life, which was great. And that was the first time I ever saw it was on the camera, on the damn camera. It sat on the vehicle. I think Patrick had one on the damn wall by Booker. So it certainly looks like they're staying in the area for a little while. Should be very nice. Sharon's question, I've actually seen a zebra and a donkey has been crossed. They're quite funny looking creatures, and I think they were crossed with the donkey obviously having a strong back. And the zebra probably for its termite mounds are throwing me. I'm seeing a lot of termite mounds that look like rhinos. Storks have arrived again at the Treehouse Dam. Go in but not disturb them. I just want to go around the back a little bit and just see if we can see where the rhinos, if they were there or not. The buffaloes have just destroyed any form of tracks. The other side of the buffalo herd we've just been seeing. Trying to avoid these little trees here if I can. Again, if you want to think of what they smell like, just think of a cattle or cow shed. That's exactly what they smell like. Actually, I wonder if we can get a nice perspective around them here. So you can see how deep this herd actually goes. That'll take you around. I still don't see any rhinos. Which one have you got in shot at the moment?
All of them.
Oh, okay. So you can see the stance of them with the nose up, trying to get our scent now. One or two individuals not liking our presence, but most of the herd is still relaxed. And Dave, just going back to your question about the oxpeckers, I'll certainly see if I can just check with Roberts, which is the quite an in-depth bird book, and just see if it can add anything to what I've said about where they sleep. Okay. Quite another interesting question from Dave again. And how do they rear their young? Because obviously the buffalo herds don't stick around. But obviously, I don't know if you've been seeing on the dam cam, they'll go for even hippo. If there's any impala or wildebeest around, they'll sit on those. So it's not just buffalo that they'll eat from. And also if there's any giraffes around, they'll sit on the giraffes. So they have quite a wide variety of mammals they can go and sit on. They don't really sit on elephants, with them having thicker skin. It's a lot more difficult for them. So the thickest skinned animal that I know of is the rhino. And I say that's how it's going to help them, because there's obviously going to be animals around at some stage. But we were actually trying to, because the red-billed oxpeckers are actually dwindling in numbers, and so is the yellow-billed. I'd love to see a yellow-billed oxpecker have a lot more yellow on the bill. But we actually were trying to encourage the numbers of oxpeckers by putting up nest boxes on our old reserve, and just trying to help them a little bit. But as I say, they are actually becoming quite vulnerable. So they tend to make mutualistic associations with the animals. So obviously the animals gaining the benefit of the oxpeckers by having the parasites, the external parasites like the ticks, being taken off of their bodies. And they actually do sort of comb through the fur in quite a lot of detail. They take their time over it. I've seen, it's actually quite interesting to watch them. If we get a close-up of them, it'd be quite nice to see it. But especially on a couple of the Safari TV diaries, if you want to have a look through them, there's a couple of times they've been sitting on giraffes, and you can actually see them combing through the fur to try and see if there's any ticks. And obviously they gain a meal, so that's both animal benefits, and that's why it's called a mutualistic symbiotic relationship. But as I say, there has sort of come into question a couple of times whether if an animal has a wound, they've actually been sort of damaging it further because they keep the wound open and actually eat the blood, the clotted blood, and keeping it open. So there is some question whether they are completely mutualistic to the animal or not. I'm just trying to guesstimate the amount of buffalo here. I would say it's definitely over its hundreds. So it actually just reached quite far back. I mean, we had to drive quite a little bit onto the side of the herd, and I think it goes a bit further south of where they are as well. I don't know, how many do you think? Hmm? A few hundred. Emma's also thinking a few hundred. On the back?
No, the front, yeah, with the ox picker on his nose. Straight to you. Just went right here with the ox picker on the side of his face.
Oh, okay. I think it's hidden by some grass, that's why I'm struggling to see it. So him is just telling me what shot you guys are seeing. It's funny they can get into... Oh, there, okay. Sometimes the animals look like they get a little bit annoyed about the oxpeckers. They seem to sort of get into everywhere. And you see the one actually pecking something around the eye there, and you can see the buffalo not liking that too much.
I'm going to the one standing up at the back.
With all the, with the party going on at the back. There's a lot of oxpeckers on that one. Good afternoon, stations. I've got the Schlambia Vignari south of Treehouse Dam. There were two Nkombi about 2:30, about 1:30 that fambered south. I've been trying to relocate so far, Lutu. I had them at Treehouse Dam. It was about 1:30. They fambered south. I've tried to relocate. I'm not sure if they're in with the Inyari at the moment, but they were with them while they're at the water.
Maybe they've gone as a little guy.
Copy that. I thought I saw the back end of the rhino, but it's still another buffalo. It's just the way the light's shining on it looks more grey. And the brown-headed parrot flying over. Hi Bob, welcome on board this afternoon. And you'd just like to know, does the whole herd, do they always have a calf? Or does every individual have a calf? It really will depend on, obviously, if they're ready to breed or not. Generally the females will stay with the herd. So if they're not ready to breed, obviously they won't have. But if they are mature enough to breed, then there's quite a distinct possibility that they will. And I have been trying to read upon whether they're seasonal breeders or not, and again it does depend on when the rain season is. They do try and time it for the rainy season, obviously when the best pastures are, but they have been known to be non-seasonal as well, just depends on the area that they're in. And as I say, oh, sorry. Okay, sorry, Bob. I think I was mishearing the question coming through. Does the herd help to rear the calf? And as far as I'm aware, they don't. Because obviously each individual have their own calf, and they seem to be very strict on only their own calf drinking from them. So it's not sort of like a lion, where a lion will suckle other lion cubs. Are you getting the one that's scratching?
Where?
In the tree there.
Okay.
Sorry, there's a young buffalo actually scratching itself. It's just looking quite funny. Because there was a larger buffalo earlier on actually using the same tree to scratch itself, so it's obviously a good sized tree. In a good place, good position to get to the hard to reach spots. I've even seen giraffes doing that to try and scratch, especially in between their legs. They'll actually walk over a tree to try and scratch in between the legs. Well, I think we'll come back a little bit later if we can, or if there's other vehicles with them. I'll see if any cats make an appearance, but otherwise I think we'll continue on. Hi John, I hope you're well. He's saying hi to myself and Herman. I hope you're enjoying the buffalo so far.
Okay.
Cool. Great to hear you can join us this afternoon. And so we're going to see if we can continue on, maybe see if we can find any more evidence of those rhinos disappearing. I don't want to drive, because this is getting quite thick here, I don't want to drive around the back and disturb the herd too much. They all seem quite settled. But there's one or two individuals who might just set the herd off. Where could those rhinos have gone to? So I definitely went with the buffalo when we were watching them. So unfortunately, with all the buffalo coming through here as well, any of the rhino tracks have just been completely wiped out by the buffaloes. Just have a quick check just in case they are mixed in with the buffalo. Again, is it possible to send that question through again? I didn't quite copy it. Okay, Ariane, welcome on board this afternoon onto the new vehicle. Still yet to name it. Just asking, I think if you can just correct me if I'm wrong, but have we been ever endangered by a predator while we've been on drive? And obviously you would be meaning any kind of predator, from the lions or leopards or cheetah or anything like that. And I haven't actually had any threatening behaviour from them, as in they were going to try and eat me. Even when I've come across them on foot, we've had them charge a little bit, but generally lions will not follow through a charge, especially if you stand your ground. They're more likely to turn around and run away. And the cats, especially in game reserves, get used to the vehicles and get used to knowing that they're not a threat. So there's no reason for them to be threatening towards us. And there's also enough food availability, so there's no reason for them really to try and eat us. Obviously there has been the odd occasion where you've heard of human eating animals. As I say, it is very, very rare, and it's extreme circumstances, whether they old individuals or single individuals, and it really does depend on the circumstances. And generally, they won't attack in a vehicle. But I must admit, I was getting looked at the other night when I was on board Jigger with Mark, and I was on camera. I what we think was the Windmill Pride, and they were walking all over around the back of Jigger, and there was one female that looked at me. She was probably about half a metre away, and she did look at me, and I just saw for an instant in her eye, is that worth trying? But it was more just a thought rather than following it through. But I must admit, I just sort of looked at her and just thought, don't you even think about it. And I don't know if she read my thought or what, but she must have either read my face or my thought and just went, not worth it. But as I say, it'll take a lot for a lion really to even follow through a thought. They'd have to become very interested in the vehicles, and they'd go through quite a lot of thought process before it. You'd actually see a lot of thought process before it, checking out the vehicles, checking the boundaries, pushing it all the time. I don't know if I want to try and see if we get a squirrel in the road here. It's quite cute. Oh, he's run off. Sorry. Yeah, squirrels just run off. Sometimes I'll keep the engine running because I can keep it a little more relaxed and you can switch off straight away. Oh, literally just here. We'll see if it makes a difference. Stop! Oh, gone into the trees. Have you got it?
Of course.
Awesome.
Gun of the West.
I've been saying it's the fastest gun in the West.
Don't have any more though.
I think it's because it's disappeared. Saying he doesn't have it anymore because it's disappeared. I'm actually quite impressed that you must get. So I'm just going to let everybody know that they've left the buffalo. Stations, I've just left the Schlambia Vignari south of Treehouse Dam, Steam.
I'll make my way west up, moving below now.
Copy. There were also 2 in combi earlier with them. 1:30, they found south. I've not been able to relocate.
Sorry, what time are you looking?
There are 2 in combi with the Schlambia Vignari about 1:30, they found south.
Thank you.
So I hope that answers your question about the carnivores, whether or not. But as I say, it's very important if you do see, especially in this kind of environment, where the carnivores especially see a lot of game drive vehicles. If you see them starting to cross that line where they're becoming inquisitive about what the vehicles are about, there's a very fine line between the step getting on a vehicle and obviously getting on a vehicle with guests is not what you need, because there is a potential for some damage to happen. So you've obviously got to be very aware of that and sort of removing yourself if that ever does happen. First of all, for the animal's benefit, because if that animal does cross the line and starts jumping on the vehicles, and then decides maybe to jump on one of the guests on the vehicle, then that animal might be put down. But also you don't want to have a case where an animal might turn on a guest. So you have to be very, very careful with that. And generally they don't have, generally the line is still there. There's still a mental barrier. And what's quite interesting is if an animal really wants to go through a fence, say, it will go, no matter what. Whether it's in a zoo, if you put an animal into an enclosure that you think there's no way it can get out, if that animal wants out, it will get out. And there was quite an interesting story. There was a guy who was being chased by an elephant. Now, there was a fenced off area, and every day there was a gate, and the gate was probably about as wide as the vehicle is long. So this gate was quite a substantial size gate, and this guy ended up getting chased by an elephant. And he ran through, and that particular day the gate was open, he actually ran through the gate, and the elephant stopped dead at the gate. Because obviously he was so used to the gate being closed, it was still a mental barrier for him not to cross that line. So it's the same with the vehicles. That's why the animals still see it as a mental barrier. We know that they can jump on the vehicle. They obviously know they can kind of jump on the vehicle, but there is still that almost fear of humans and the vehicles for them not to cross that line, if that makes any sense. It does in my head. So hopefully it does in yours as well. So I just turned onto Philemon's Cut Line and now onto Weaver's Nest Road, heading down towards Chelapan, see if there's anything around there. I'll come back over the dam wall and maybe head up towards Zoe's Road if we can, see if there's anything around. I'm not too sure where the elephant went that was drinking. Maybe find out from Caroline. He's from the dam. Oh! Cool, we've got a big bird of prey in the tree. I wonder if it's a tawny eagle that's been around. I'm going to stop here because it is looking and I don't want to scare it off. It certainly does look like the tawny eagle that's been around. I just want him to stay. If we can get a shot of it, and then I'll see if we can move forward, because I don't think it's likely to turn around and show us the face. It's just his head is just hidden by a branch, just by a few centimetres. Let's see. Just want to see if we can sneak up to it, but I'm not sure if it's gonna stay.
That's right.
I don't know. Can you see the head through there? Actually, no. What about there? Can you see it? Okay. I don't want to go too much closer. Well spotted, Herman. I'll see with the steppe eagle that would be, or that would have migrated now. The Palearctic migratory bird going back up towards Europe. So at least it takes one LBJ out of the equation, which helps. And so there's a lot of different colour morphs with the tawny eagle, which also doesn't help. But with the booted eagle, you still have the white patches on the shoulders. If he's relaxed enough, I'll see if we can get a little bit closer. It'd be quite nice. He doesn't seem to be too bothered about us being here. Let me just see if I can. He's looking. And definitely got a yellow eye. I'd say it was a tawny. It doesn't look like he's got a crest on his head, and I'm just double checking the Wahlberg's eye. I think they do have a dark eye, if I can remember rightly. And they have a little crest. Can't see the legs. On the Wahlberg's, the legs are much thinner. Yeah, they do have a dark eye on the Wahlbergs. And I think this was around the dam the other day. I think it was probably about 3 days ago. I think there was 2 of them. And so there's very, very much... there is a lot of variation in the colours, from a very, very dark brown to a very pale. This looks like it's kind of the medium. Can be a sign that there's a carcass around, but at the moment I don't think it's just using the branch just to rest on and maybe still catch the late afternoon warmth. I'm going to see if we can sneak up a little bit more. Okay. And obviously, preening in birds is very, very important. If any of their feathers are slightly out of place, it could actually mean the difference in their flying, and obviously either catching food or escaping predators. So it really does make a huge difference to them. That's why they spend so much time preening, making sure every feather is in the right place, taking any old feathers out that are going to destroy the aerodynamics of it. And when they go through a molt, especially on their wings, they'll molt the same feather on each wing so that it keeps it balanced. So obviously if you molt one feather, you have a gap in one wing, then that's going to damage the aerodynamics quite substantially. And they will molt the feathers, they'll go through a cycle, because obviously feathers will be used and they'll get damaged, and especially in the windy seasons, and they just get to the end of their life. So they will molt out and the new one will grow in its place. And the Egyptian geese actually go through a molt where they're flightless, and we may even see it here if they congregate around a dam for safety numbers again during the time when they have this flightless molt, which is quite interesting why they go through the flightless molt. But is quite an interesting one, because most birds will say, although that they'll lose one or two at a time. Wow, Ariane, sounds like it had been an adventure. You were asking me about the predators attacking the vehicles, because it sounds like you had a bit of a run-in with one of the lions in Punta Maria, having to return back to your camp and having to go past the lion that was sleeping, and he chased your car. And again, it's difficult to say, especially in Kruger, because people, because they're allowed to drive by themselves, you don't know if there's some irresponsible people driving around, and you don't know if they've tried to do things or chase an animal. Obviously, the rangers do patrol, but you can't be everywhere at every point. So it's, it could be quite easy for people to misuse the area. And obviously the animals, so you don't know what's happened, and always keep in the back of your mind, if something like that does happen, what's happened before, why would that animal have reacted the way it did. It could have been territorial, as you thought. It could be maybe the sound of your engine was similar to a sound of a car that had done something to it and it didn't like it, and animals do recognise cars and people and individual engines, and they will react differently to different engines. I've seen it myself, especially with the lions, and it could be that something happened with that. Sorry, someone's just calling me. Diego? That's a negative. Left them about half an hour ago. They were lalapansying just to the south or west of Treehouse Dam. You should find my Conzo's Fambring off, but they are visible from the Ndlela. Let's say it could be it was having a bad day, and maybe your distance was still a little bit too close for it. But instead of just walking away, as I say, it decided actually it was going to stand its ground. It could be that it's gotten into the habit of chasing cars because people have backed off, and it's maybe decided that it's actually quite a fun thing to chase cars. So there's many different reasons why you may have been chased by that lion, and without actually knowing or being there, it's very difficult to say exactly what happened there. Let's say each individual will have its different distances. There are some individuals that if you get maybe 100 meters from it, it's still not happy with you being there. There are some individuals that if you get 10 meters from it, they don't mind. And again, depending on the circumstances of that day or whatever, it will change from day to day as well. I think we're going to leave this little tawny eagle to his own devices, and hopefully we won't disturb him as we drive underneath. If he actually stays there as we drive underneath, I'll see if we can stop again. Nice if he does stay there. I'm actually quite amazed that he's still staying. You're going to turn around and have a look at us. almost as if he's just ignoring us now. If I don't look at them, they're not there. And actually just thinking about that again, I remember an incident where there was a car, a little white car actually, on my old reserve, belonging to a manager, and she told me she always had problems with the lions chasing her, and she'd not done anything to them, but they actually picked her vehicle out, and whenever she drove past they'd actually confront her or chase her, and yet any other car, they would sleep, they would not be bothered. And that's what made me think maybe they've had a run-in with a vehicle similar to that, and the engine just, they didn't like it and they thought it was the same vehicle.
Try it again.
Yeah, give it a go.
Okay.
Now he looks around. And if there's anybody joining us for the first time, or if anyone's just joined us and just tuned in, my name's Tara. I'm guiding you this afternoon, and Herman's joining me on camera with this beautiful shot of a tawny eagle sitting in the tree. And Caroline is in final control, sending any messages that you might have through to me, any questions. You just need to email filecontrol@safari.tv. And with this being 100% live here from Djuma Game Reserve in South Africa, I'm going to be able to answer your questions as we drive around, and anything that you'd like to ask as we're driving, feel free to send it through. Any information you might have that might be interesting to everybody, or anything that we've seen so far, and feel free to send any of the questions through to us. And we're trying to sneak up or sneak past this tawny eagle without disturbing it, and we would love to try and get a shot from underneath the branch if it's going to let us. And it seems to be quite relaxed. Okay. Trouble is, every time it looks around, it's when I've got the engine going.
Okay.
He's doing it again. I think it's going to get ready to go. And stay there, please.
Just heard elephants.
You sure?
No.
I heard a buffalo.
Not if you're elephant.
You got a good shot there, so I'm going to see if I can roll forward.
Right.
I'm going to see if I can roll forward.
Okay.
You say?
I can't go this high anymore.
Oh, can you not? Oh, that's a shame.
The highest I can go.
I had the same problem with the vulture the other day. So actually quite an amazing viewpoint, actually sitting underneath the bird. You don't get it very often because I feel very uneasy about you being there. I was hoping he might just sort of look over his shoulder and look down at us. There we go.
If you can keep on rolling, you might get to the other side.
Okay, let me see if we can. Okay, hi Judy. And good morning to you too. Good afternoon from Juma Game Reserve here. And you'd like to know how big the eagle is. And should be around 50, 60 centimeters. I'm just busy trying to see if we can roll underneath it so we can try and get a good viewpoint of it. And I think I've just run out of steam.
What happened?
No, okay, it was worth a try. That would have been quite a nice viewpoint. I'm hoping it's not going to... He just looked at me. No. Sorry guys. We tried. But actually, he's still looking at us. You think we'd be able to get it from there? Not yet. Say what? Oh, word. He's still there. Tawny eagles should get up to about 70 centimeters. I think it's, I don't know, I'd say about 60, 65 maybe. Give or take.
Take a photo quickly because it seems to respond to that.
Okay. Let's see if we can get him to look round at the camera. He's getting a bit confused. Where's that coming from? I'm actually quite glad we weren't sat where we were before. Now if he takes off now, that'd actually be quite interesting. Would you be able to get it on camera?
Try, but hard.
Yeah.
It's
I'm actually quite impressed. He's still staying put. So you've actually been able to see a tawny eagle from quite a number of angles now. Yep, I think we can move.
That is our antenna. Cool.
Someone's just saying that's our antenna. It really is quite chilled. I'm very impressed with that tawny eagle. And he's still sitting there. Awesome. I can feel the nip in the air now. It's probably standing about that tall. If that helps. Would you say that, Herman?
Yeah.
Like that? Obviously not including the tail. And that's what's so great about driving around and being able to do a live game drive with you. You really just don't know what you're going to get. I think that's the first time I've ever driven underneath the 20 before. I'm having a quick look around Chenapan. Then we'll be back out towards Zoe's Road. I haven't heard anything, any updates on that. Oh, sorry, Hornbill. On the leopard in the area. Obviously, we've been seeing them in the area that side, nothing from the lions. I think the buffalo herd is still where we left them. There's a couple of vehicles gone that way now. I always think they say hot diggity when they start calling. We only have quite a few Franklins in the area and they all start to sound the same. It's nice to be able to put words to their calls. And I think the Orange River is useful because it's its name. I think it does. And the best one, the Preston Franklin, the same beer and cognac. Beer and cognac, beer and cognac. Oh, I was going to say there was one just in the road there and he just darted off into the bush there. Koki Franklin says its name as well, so I guess his name. Koki, Koki, Koki. I think the Afrikaans for it is a swimpy, isn't it? I think it says, you can also say its name in Afrikaans, swimpy, swimpy. Nothing here. Except a Cape turtle dove going down to drink. And if ever you're lost in the bush, why is that tree swaying like mad? Yeah, I think it is. It was just odd. There's that one tree that looks like it's swaying like mad. There's the other couple of trees that are also swaying. But yeah, I would say if you're ever in a survival situation, the Cape turtle dove will help you find water. It flies high and straight, it's flying to water early in the morning, later on in the afternoon, and if it's flying dipped, then it's been to water. This is not good. I'm onto my second jacket already. It's only, what time is it? 22:05. I've already got a jacket on. 2 jackets. Okay. Well, it's worth just sitting and stopping. Oh, there's a bird in the tree there. What are you? You're quite colourful. You're a bird. Nope. It's the seeds from the tree. That's why it's so colourful. From the russet bush willow by the looks of it. Are you able to have a look?
No, I'm showing a very relaxed water.
Very relaxed water shot.
Everyone calm down and breathe.
Okay, Herman's trying to give you a mood ambience. Calming and breathing easy.
Okay, enough of that. It's good.
Can you show them my seeds? Can you see them? There's a log that looks like it's Nessie's head.
It's a lion.
That too. And there's the very, very bright green tree, and there's a brown patch, and that's the seeds there. Herman's just looking at me as if I'm... Yeah. Okay. It's a very, very brown patch just at the base of that green canopy. Oh, yeah, you've got it. Then you're looking at me. Can you see the seeds now? Oh, okay. Okay.
You mean like 45 degrees from the bend of the
Yeah.
wood?
There we go. So those are the seeds. It looks like it's the combretum seeds with the 4 sides on the seed. And it looks like it is the russet bush willow. It makes a very nice tea. You can take the parts of the seed off, grind it down, use it as tea leaves. It's very, very tasty tea. Okay. It's been very, very quiet. Oh, we've got hippo tracks. Thanks, Steve. You're asking if I've got my lucky socks on today. And I'm glad to hear that you like Tigger as well. Or you love Tigger. And I actually have, though. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you in this vehicle. See if I can remember to show you when we close down. How about that? Now.
Hi everyone, this is Kaz in Final Control. While we get our signal back, I'll just leave you with the sights and sounds of Gowrie Dam.
Welcome back, guys. I don't know if we'll be able to get across to Franklin. It seems we've been talking a lot about Franklins. Or I've been talking a lot about Franklins. You guys have just been listening to me, rattling on. Oh, hello. I'm hearing one clucking away and there's one right next to us. Just goes to show how good their camouflage